This is Rusty from Last Flight Home, and you're watching the Vulgar Display of Podcast.
Can you do it again without like a gun to your head?
This is Rusty from Last Flight Home, and you're watching Vulgar Display of Podcast.
Hi, and welcome to the Vulgar Display of Podcast, live from the Barn Studio. You got the Mox, Dale, Anthony, and Mike in the studio tonight, and we're joined via Zoom right now with Rusty from Last Flight Home.
Hey guys.
Yeah.
Let him breathe.
Thanks for joining us. Let him breathe.
Put him on the glass.
How's it going, man?
It's great, man. Just hanging out at home, being lazy, and getting ready for the show coming up.
Yeah, Drink Surfside presents BOB-A-RINO'S Class of 2003 reunion show Saturday, November 29th at Off Broadway. I love that venue. St. Louis, Missouri. Doors are at 6, shows at 7. Last Flight Home, first reunion in 20 years. You guys have not played a show in 20 years.
Yeah, I think it's a slight exaggeration. I think it's been like 17 actually.
Well, you got to round up.
Yeah,
there. Round.
But yeah, that's a Joey O'Farrell special. He rounded up a couple of years to make it sound worse or better, depending on your mindset there, I guess.
Yeah, and some other special, awesome bands on the bill as well, which I think it just got announced today or yesterday. Bi-Level has been added, and it's I think the original Bi-Level, right?
At least the original to me. I think there may have been. I'm not really sure, but definitely the one from that era.
Yeah.
When Tim Hardy from Farmington was in the band. Yeah.
And then Moon from Goldfinger, Greek Fire, X Story of the Year, and I added Maybe Today because he was definitely in Maybe Today, and he played in Farmington several times as well. A Symphony of Punches, which features Jeff from Not Waving But Drowning, and Enemy Airship, and they are actually originally from Farmington as well, I believe, right?
They are. That's Zach's band. Zach Berry. He was in bands back in the day too. They were not really heavy bands, so he was. I think he played shows at like Long Hall and stuff when some of the Bob shows were going on. He wasn't really involved with like the heavier scene, I guess. But yeah, he's awesome, and I'm actually really, really excited to get to see them. I've been a fan for a long time and never actually gotten to see them live.
We're going to talk a lot of Last Flight Home, but I want to go back even further. Pennies for Allah. And I actually have the CD over there. It was I Like Swing Sets.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Roy.
And Mike was actually in that band, and I think originally in Last Flight Home for a little bit too, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
we kind of rearranged members and played different instruments. I think we got a little bored after a while, didn't we? Really?
Yeah, I think it was partly that. I think Ben was going to college. He was moving out of town to go to college, and we were just like, "What are we gonna do?" And just kind of switched it up. But yeah, I
met Marcus at Mac. We played in jazz band at Mac, and then I brought him to one of our practices, and Quentin sat on his face the first day.
Love that.
Yeah.
And
That's what me and Dale were doing earlier.
100%.
and that was the beginning of Last Flight Home. So it started with a Yokozuna.
as bands do.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people talk about that time frame and that time area in this community, and it still holds a very special place in a lot of people's hearts. And you guys were such a huge part of that. And there was a lot of people involved too. Joey O, obviously, needs a lot of love on that regard. And Calvin, I think he just sort of brought everybody together, it seems like. Can you talk about what that time frame in your life and in those bands, what that meant to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first off, you're right. There was it's like a perfect storm of a lot of different people just kind of all coming together to make that happen. From my perspective, Mike deserves a ton of credit. Because when we started playing in a band together, essentially, how Southeast Missouri is. There's just not a lot of places to play, but that was never that was never an excuse for us. We were always like, well, then we'll just make a place to play. And we did those bowling alley shows. I think I think your old band maybe played one of those, right? If I'm not mistaken. And we just we just did it, and that's just how it was. And I think some of the BOB-A-RINO'S stuff was going on anyway. Like it was like once a year thing at Country Days. And then like just the right people just kind of saw the opportunity and jumped in and just kind of made it happen. But really it was just like the perfect storm, right? Because the crowds that came to see the bands, it was awesome. It was just so much fun. And we obviously later down the road got these huge bands to come play in Farmington. But the whole reason that they came is because, this crowd was existing. Like they knew they could show up and there's going to be a crowd. They're going to make the money they need to make on their tour or whatever it happens to be. And so like, I think the just like fan base of that era deserves the most credit because everybody was awesome and just so engaged and involved in that. I mean, it got to the point sometimes where there were maybe 3 or 4 shows happening a week, which is absolutely crazy in Farmington. And there was people, showing up every time, and there's the same group of people showing up over and over again. So, but yeah, super special part of my life too. Just like, I come from Fredericktown, so obviously really close. And that music scene and the people that I met through Mike and through Quentin, getting to know Calvin and then their friends in like the St. Louis area was just huge for me. It just opened up a whole new world that like just wasn't there for me before. I owe so much to that. It changed my mindset, not only about music, but just that like when you do it so many times, you're just like not scared to get out into the world anymore. As like this small town kid, you're like, oh, these are just people too. These guys are in bands too. They go, you know what I mean? And I loved it. I still think back on it extremely fondly. And yeah, man, I'm super excited just to get all those same people in the same room again.
I remember being in high school and we'd hear the bands like you were mentioning, like coming to BOB-A-RINO'S in Farmington, the pizza place. I'm like, I'm listening to their CD in my car on my way home from school. What do you mean coming to Farmington? And you guys played, like, it was just incredible. That scene, like you said, to build that scene with all of us, it was just such a blast.
It's so cool. Yeah.
Do you remember, Rusty, the first time we pulled the van, and remember we were driving, I guess, was it Ben's mom's van at the time? Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, we had it loaded up with our our pieced together PA system that we had bought from Quentin's uncle. And yeah, the first time we pulled the van up the road going to that bowling alley and saw the line of kids at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon for a 7 o'clock show down the block and up the street. And we pulled the van up. We're like, what the fuck, dude? This is crazy. And then and the second we opened the door, they were like, guys, do you need some help with your equipment? We'll help you carry your stuff. You need some help? I mean, and we were just like,
yes,
in a dream world.
Yeah, we need help. The 8x10 over there. Let's start there.
Yeah. Well, we were as taken aback by the crowds and the responses, as anyone else.
You just pull up and see Jinkos and chain wallets, and you're like, holy shit.
Yeah. Well, we were
a lot of denim.
Yeah, we were just as much spectators and living it as it was happening, and it was magical. And I'm so glad to see this show happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I told this. I don't remember who. I recently told the story, Mike, too, where we used to, it was our PA, and we would rent that bowling alley space, and then we were such idiots. We would literally it would be like $5 at the door, and we would make I think a couple $1,000, and we would literally just get our whole group of friends and go to Plank Road Inn after and spend $1,000 just buying. It was just
extra
so stupid.
Sausage on me. Big ballers.
We would make the PA payment, and then all the rest of it, we bought everybody everything. We were just
that's so cool.
That's amazing, awesome. Yeah, it ain't about the money; it's about the homies. Yeah, that's great.
Well, I remember when we had Joey O on, and he was talking about how you guys had that sort of business mindset even early on to even have the idea to rent the PA, because just personal experience, I've been a music fan for all my life. Me and Anthony, we would go to shows and concerts in St. Louis, and then, you know, end up going to one of those bowling alley shows and go, oh shit, there's people doing it here. Like, instead of us having to go up there, there's like stuff happening right here. And I was just blown away by I think maybe the professionalism of it all, because you would have somebody taking tickets at the door, and, you know, I don't know if you had security. It felt like at times you didn't. Yeah. And my buddies felt that way too.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
One time in particular I can think of at the bowling alley that we probably could have had security.
Yeah. Sorry about that. But, you know, I was kind of a meathead, and most of my friends were at the time, and they didn't know what hardcore slam dancing was. Yeah. So they took offense to that, but it was in good spirit. Well, I'd say mostly in good spirit. Yeah. But yeah, it was just so cool that you guys were putting these shows on just in this small town, and obviously small town life, there's not a lot to do, and not everybody has the chance to drive to St. Louis and see these shows. So I think that's why it was embraced so much. And also too, you guys were pretty damn talented and really great songwriters and catchy as hell songwriters. And I think that resonated with a lot of people as well.
Oh, well, thank you. Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's why the crowds were so big. People knew it was legit. Like you said, you go to St. Louis and see a show and be like 5 minutes away, you get the exact same thing. It was great. Yeah.
I think the approach we took in Pennies, which is the same approach that carried on in Last Flight Home, was just memorable songs. You have to have memorable songs. You know, a lot of young bands, they write music and it's fantastic and it's awesome. That's what's so great about Last Flight Home. I love the songs. Like, the songs are catchy, the melodies are catchy. It's just so well crafted, and I'm just so glad to have been in a part of the seed of that, you know, and I just love it. I love your voice, man. I brag on you all the time.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
You want me to mute his mic?
Not yet. I'll give you the signal in a little while.
Yeah. You're supposed to throw a flag on.
Yeah, who?
Can we talk about Bob?
Yeah, I will preface that by saying I did not know him very well, and Mike may be able to give you more insight there. My interactions with him usually were like him asking for my piece of pizza, and him yelling at me to take it outside or something. I did not know him well. I know Joey did, obviously. So obviously it's super cool that he allowed us to use that business, and he seemed to not be fazed by it at all, because, as you guys know, in Farmington, lots of people say that they think they want the music scene at their business until it actually happens, and then they're like, can you guys turn the drums down? I'm like, yeah, we can turn the fucking drums down. Like, are you kidding me? So there was never even a moment of that with him. Even the shows outside, when some of the city at some point had given us some trouble about Bob shows, he was always just sticking up for us and just like continuing to make it happen. And I know he made money off of it too, but it isn't like he was making a ton of money. So from that perspective, like, it just gave us a place to go, which was amazing.
Yeah, and so I didn't know Bob either, other than just, you know, your dealings with him when you were getting your pizza. But I just loved how there would be this signed band playing a show with all these kids packed in, and he's still slinging them. Yeah. People walking out the door for the delivery with the pepperoni, and the ovens were hot as hell, and it's just sweat pouring on everybody and anybody.
I was convinced that he didn't even know that the show was going on sometimes.
He's like, customers.
He was like,
yeah,
look at all these tickets.
Yeah, he seemed to not care at all.
Yeah. It was like our own CBGBs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, kind of had that feel, and I love, you know, Joey talks so, you know, highly of him, and again, I didn't know him, but just how he fought so hard to, you know, against the, you know, the big wigs, the people in the people that made the decisions in downtown Farmington. He fought so hard just to keep it going, because I think hopefully he saw that how much it meant to the kids, and even all these years later, it's clear that it meant something.
We all still talk about it to this day. Silverstein, Under Oath, Fall Out Boy. Like, I still have a broken drumstick from Shai Halud when they did an outside show there.
He was always on our side. People from the city showed up to tell us to quiet down. Like, no, this is my business. You guys get out of here. Like, you know, he was always he was never backing down from that, and it was amazing for us.
How are we preparing for this show? Because you're on Eastern time zone, which I figured that out. And I don't know where the rest of the guys are, but they're probably not on Eastern time zone. How are we doing the rehearsals? How are we preparing? How are we putting the set list together? Because a lot of people want to hear a lot of songs.
So we're trying to be the old guys who are leaning into technology a little bit. So we have done a couple of things. So we built an in-ear rig out. So we are playing with like some guide tracks so that we can all kind of practice independently. So we all have our own specific tracks. We can play along with them in our headphones at home, and we have all three of the other guys their parts essentially. So that's one piece of it, and then we've just been getting together as often as we can, which has not been very much, but I've been flying back and forth a little bit, and I will be there actually again this weekend in a couple weeks and once before the show. So we have 3 more rehearsals before the show, and four of the songs that we are playing we played religiously back in the day. So honestly, first practice it just felt like we'd never walked away. It was easy and they went really well. We are actually playing a couple of new songs that we're going to actually release in a couple of days, or actually a couple of weeks. So we're kind of excited about that because we feel like we're going to have the opportunity to do better than we did back in the day. Which it sounds silly, but like I think we didn't really have a real great concept of songwriting and structure back in the day. And I think we wrote a lot of cool parts, but we didn't necessarily always put them in a way that was digestible for everybody. We kind of like, we were all hardcore kids, right? Like, so we were all into metal, which is funny because of what our band was obviously not. And so our song structures were like that a lot, right? They were kind of stream of consciousness from part to the next part, to the next part, to the next part. And so the new songs are a little bit more like traditionally structured, and I'm really excited for people to hear them. But yeah, that's how we've been practicing so far. Hopefully it goes well. I think we'll be fine. But if not, we at least have a huge excuse this time. So
what was it like dusting off some of these songs that you probably haven't played in a while?
It honestly was not that bad. I think it's harder for Marcus than it was harder for Marcus than anybody, surprisingly, because he's in like 13,000 bands. So just separate. So, and since then he's been in so many bands that I think it was really turning the clock back for him. But for Ben and I, we were both like, we hadn't really done anything really since then. So it wasn't a big deal for us. And then Calvin just rules. So it doesn't even matter. He's just going to be good no matter what.
I think part of the Last Flight Home sound that so many people were attracted to was your voice. And I was always particularly impressed with your voice compared to, or just maybe layered on top of your guitar playing with these like kind of lead runs that you would do. And I think with your voice, it just made it sound so cool, almost like in a Coheed way. And that kind of fits the time frame too, the Coheed and the Taking Back Sunday. And it was sort of like a paradigm shift at that point. But I mean, was that difficult to do, some of the leads that you were playing while you were singing?
Honestly, at the time, I did not really think so.
But as a 5-year-old man,
yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. 42, yes. I struggle to like concentrate on them both at the same time now. It's definitely a lot more difficult for me now. Back then, I honestly like I think I was just doing it so frequently that it like after a while it was just kind of habit. And I mean, you could like ask Mike, and anyone that's been in bands, you play the same song 500 times in a 3-week period of practice, like it just becomes muscle memory, and you're not really even thinking about it anymore. So
I remember you used to watch NFL Sunday Ticket and just play unplugged in, sit on the
I still do.
Yeah.
I still do.
Guilty.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so he'd be watching football and not even, yeah.
Like you said, muscle memory.
Yeah, it's just
thinking back to some of those old Last Flight Home shows. Do any of them stick out to you? I'm sure several do, but can you talk about a couple that stick out in your memory that maybe you think about often?
So sticking specifically with Bob's, Um, they do all run together, and I'm not sure 100% sure which one's which sometimes, but I believe the Silverstein show was a show that got moved inside because of the rain, and it was a lot of people stuffed into that tiny little building. And I loved Silverstein, so I was really excited about it. And I just love that because I'm a big fan in general of like floor shows and shows with fans surrounding the bands. I just think it's so much fun as a band. It just like it feels like you're like in a music video or something. I don't know how to put it, but I really loved that. Basically all the shows at some point in Farmington, you were there with all of your friends and all these people you knew from the scene and friends bands like Bi-Level is a great example. The band The Skyline was one that we played with a lot. And it was just those experiences. Eventually, it really wasn't about the shows anymore. It was really about just kind of being around all those people and just enjoying that time with them. So outside of Bob's, we played a show with doing direct support for Cave-In once. And Cave-In's my all-timer. So obviously I still think about that all the time. And I actually think about how ridiculously stupid I was to not understand how cool that was when we were doing it. All these years later, I appreciate it a lot more,
I would say some of the later Last Flight Home stuff was kind of getting a little like space rocky sort of. I don't know what the genre term is, and that probably ain't even right, but it was sort of like you're talking about. There's no verse chorus thing. We didn't follow, you guys didn't follow a certain, frame when you were writing the song, but it got, some delayed guitar in there, I think at times, were you sort of heading in a direction that way?
Yeah, I honestly, I think that if you guys hear the new songs, to hear the songs of the show, I think that you'll know exactly what I'm talking about right now. But part of back in the day, like I guess it was just like the emo thing. Like everybody was just trying to sing as absolutely high as possible all the time, and it was ridiculous. And I have no it's so stupid. But we have tuned some songs down to play them at the show. One, because I can't sing them anymore. I just can't do that. But now, hearing them this way, they actually sound like all those bands that we liked, like Cave-In and everything. Now that you're not focused on the fact that it's just somebody singing super high all the time, it definitely feels a lot like Cave-In or Circus Survive, even some. Yeah, so basically I was getting at we're tuning some songs down with the old ones, and now that they're not super high vocals, I think they actually sound a lot like those bands that you're talking about that we were huge fans of. And that was really kind of what made it seem like we weren't back in the day. And I like them a lot more this way, actually.
If you're anything like most bands that we talk to, you can't even listen to the old stuff, especially with the production and things. It's kind of hard to listen to because you're like, oh my gosh, what were you thinking? Is that the case?
Yeah, I literally, I could go on and on about that. And also back in the day, we couldn't just home demo something. So you get into the studio and you record a song back in the day, that may be the first time you've ever really heard it, everybody's parts, and understand what's happening. And then you're done. You can't. It's not like you can be like, oh yeah, I can afford another $500 day to rewrite this song now that I know what it actually is. So it's so much easier today. You can demo it out 1,000 times before you ever step foot in a studio. So yeah, definitely, I have a hard time listening to most of it. There's a couple of demos especially that people have asked me for them before, and I think I'm the only one that has them, and no one on earth will ever get them because I hate them so badly.
We got a few podcasts like that too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I understand.
It's in the vault and it's staying there.
Locked. Key thrown away.
Talk about how important STL Punk was during that time, and specifically for you guys, and I'd say the Bob shows as well.
Man, STL Punk it's crazy to think back on it now, right? Because it kind of existed before any of that stuff. I think it predates MySpace. Is that correct or no?
I believe so.
Yeah. it was amazing. It was just an amazing tool. Like it was cool as a social media aspect, when it was still like a pure thing and not like just a vehicle for shit talking like it is today. But like, aside from that, for a band, like it was really set up for the bands to get in contact directly with their fans, and like there was no like you're not gonna have to pay to have people see your Facebook post more than 2 times or something. Like it was amazing. And it's how we got to know other bands. Like when we did some DIY tours, Mike can tell you like that stuff helps so much, being able to contact guys, having email addresses, um, contact phone numbers, knowing who all the people were in the band. And even just like back in the day when you would show up at a venue and you play with some band and you really liked them, you get home and you're like, man, I met that guy tonight, can't remember his name, or I couldn't remember the band name, and you could find them on that page, and it was amazing. I thought it was amazing. Were you guys all on there?
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Join here with Rusty from Last Flight Home. We're excited for this show. Drink Surfside presents BOB-A-RINO'S Saturday, November 29th at Off Broadway. Last Flight Home, Moon from Goldfinger, Enemy, Airship, and a Symphony of Punches, which features Jeff from Not Waving But Drowning. And that's a band I want to talk about right now. We talk about Calvin's importance. He's originally from this area and, ended up in Not Waving But Drowning. And, I think he was a big part of that connection of you guys and Not Waving But Drowning, and then bringing all these touring acts, and some of which were my favorite bands at the time. I can think of Zayo, a band Shun, who became a band that I fell in love with because you guys brought them in, and several others. Talk about Not Waving But Drowning, what that band means to you and what it meant to this area.
Yeah, and I think they were kind of everything for that. Like I said, I think it started with the fact that we were having shows where we were drawing people, so bands from out of town knew they could show up and have a good show. And then Not Waving, I think, essentially bringing their tour with Open Hand and This Day Forward to Farmington kind of kicked off the floodgates from that, because those guys knew everybody. Like the word gets out fast. Like one of those guys is in Poison the Well now. The two of those guys were in Circus Survive. Like Jeff ended up being in Open Hand. Those guys are in Seosin later on. So like it just like I think everything stemmed from that particular show, and that was not what Waving But Drowning is doing, right? Because they were always on tour. Like I think they went like 4 years without making a record, because every time they would get home to make one, someone would ask them out on another tour, and they would just go. And it was really important for us, because they, the hookup with those people, and like to get Farmington kind of on the map for those people. But also, like, I would say just like personally, like Not Waving helped us out so much for everything. Justin, like when he was booking shows, if there was something he knew we liked, and he'd throw us on it in St. Louis, is the way that we got to play with, several bands that we really loved. And, he was trying to bring things to Farmington too that made sense. If some band was coming through in St. Louis and playing with Not Waving, he would have that show swing through and like be like Zayo and Farmington, right, or whatever, and all because of those guys as well. And generally those dudes are awesome. They're like exactly what you want as a music fan, because there's no pretentious shit at all with them. They just like love music and love to play, and honestly they could play in front of 5 people, or they could play in front of like one of their Papa Roach crowds that they got to play in front of, and it's the same energy. They don't give a shit. They come, they bring it, and they were awesome. They're just really cool role models to have, and just like to see the way they did it, how professional they were about it. Very early on, Calvin got on my ass about like, hey, whenever you guys are playing like a Last Flight Home thing, hey, you guys need to like get your shit set up, get your shit and get off the stage, like respect other bands' times, which is something like, as a young kid, I didn't really ever think about. And that goes so far to where like you just respectful to another band, and then they're like, hey man, I really like that band, and they respected our time, and then you get another show down the road and they throw you on it. And just learning that professionalism from them, that it was stuff that they like intrinsically understood. And man, I I could go on and on about them forever. They're all friends of mine, and especially Calvin, obviously, and I love them, and I don't think any of that happened without them.
Immensely talented, each one of them in their own unique way, and super original too. I know they were part of, that sort of coalesce, converge, kind of on the come up, but sound very different from the bands that they sort of came up with in what I would consider their peers. It's a band I sort of what you're saying, I can't speak highly enough of, and what they mean to this area. So just my little statement there. Mm-hmm. All right.
And Jeff's band's good. I've heard some demos. I don't know if I'm supposed to even say that, but Jeff's band's good. It is nothing like Not Waving But Drowning at all.
You mentioned floor shows, and I have two things on it. They were the king of the floor show. Like literally, Todd would be on the floor.
He would be. He would
rolling around and whatever. And I won't put him on blast, but I did have a sort of younger band reach out to me recently, and I would say they're not a local band. They're sort of a mid-level band, or maybe a little, I don't know. Anyway, they reached out and they were talking about trying to get a show in this area. I said, well, are you open to a floor show? And they said, what's a floor show? Mm-hmm. And I go, you might need to talk to somebody else. I don't think I can help you much.
I mean, it's in the saying, floor show.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
Put it together.
We're playing a stage show. What's that?
And I bring that up to say this. It's I don't know if it's different these days for younger kids. We sound like the old grandpas now, but it doesn't seem like there's as much community. It's specifically in the hardcore metal emo world. And maybe I'm off here. I know we have a pretty good scene right now that we're pretty happy with in this area. And we have a venue that does a good job. But it just seems like the community isn't as strong. Do you get that sense as well?
I don't know for sure. I feel like sometimes when I think certain things, that it's just like old man yelling at the cloud, and I'm not really sure. I do think that there is definitely like this like push towards professionalism that has been like granted by all the I guess advances in technology, right? Just like I said about like demoing songs out earlier, like all that kind of stuff is easier for them. I think people write music on their own a lot more now than being like in a garage and in like, you just jamming with your buddies for 4 hours to come up with a song. Instead, somebody might demo a whole song out on their own at home, and then bring it to the band and everybody learns their part and plays it. So that's obviously like really different. But I don't know about like the floor shows in general. Like, I feel like that's always been kind of more like a VFW small town thing. And I think it just goes in ways with like how big those like the, I guess, area's music scene is at the time. Because I think it's just like us. It's not like you wanted to be there back in the day, even though you grew to love it. It was just like you didn't have a choice. You didn't have any other place to go. You went to the VFW. You went to Rosner's. You went to BOB-A-RINO'S. Like that's just what you did. And then obviously in the process, at least for me, I learned like that's absolutely my favorite. That's what I would prefer to play. That's what I would prefer to go see. So. I don't know. I don't know if that even really answers your question. I just don't really know if it really is any different or if I'm just old.
Well, and same. And keep in mind, I'm forming these opinions from my recliner. So it's not like I'm out there handing out flyers anymore. So it's easy to say that. I think I was just kind of shocked that a younger band didn't know what a floor show was. But you're right. I mean, maybe that is a small town thing. Maybe when you're booking DIY, even stretch runs where you're just trying to piece a couple dates together, you take what you can get at that point. It's not like you have all the venues in the world to choose from, especially back then. You took what you could get, and you guys would throw those shows. You would throw Rosner's shows and these VFWs and basically anywhere that would allow you guys to bring the PA in, you'd go and play, because what else are we going to do? And sometimes, I'm speaking for myself here, we'd play parties. I'm sure you guys did too. We'd play bonfires. We'd play backyard birthday party. We didn't give a shit. We just wanted to play.
Yep. Hard same. So there, I really do think it's a little bit of an acquired taste. Like you don't really know what to expect probably if you're a band and you maybe like you have gone to like venues like Off Broadway is your spot you go to in your city and you play, and then maybe it does feel weird because it's a completely different environment. Obviously, you're not going to be able to hear yourself the same way. You're not going to be able to see everybody, but I don't know. The energy of that is just so much fun that, yeah, I hope that young band comes to town, and I hope they get to experience it with a good crowd because, yeah, that's where it's at.
Saturday, November 29th, Off Broadway, BOB-A-RINO'S Class of 2003 reunion show. Last Flight Home, Moon, Enemy Airship, and a Symphony of Punches. Thanks so much, man. Thanks for being patient with us tonight, and looking forward to the show.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys, and yeah, looking forward to seeing all you guys.
Anything you want to tell Mike closing out?
Love you, man.
You gonna grow that hair back or what?
Dude,
that's long gone.
Dude, that is a solar panel for a cooking.
Well, guess what, Mike? The big reveal here I got for you for the show. I told you I have a big reveal. I'm going bald too, buddy.
Oh shit!
Catfished. Got it.
Catfished. I played a show at the Vault one time, and Chad brought all the riffraff, and in between
that,
in between all the songs, I could hear them yelling, "We see that bald spot in those lights."
I wanted to make you feel comfortable.
Well, you certainly did. I appreciate you.
There was like a smattering of applause. I go, look at that fucking bald spot.
Yeah. It was like at the perfect like quiet
time.
Yeah.
That show was so good though.
That was so good.
I was like, thanks, Chad. Man, awesome. Yeah. Those lights do a number on a bald fucking head, man.
Rusty, you kind of mentioned it. I don't think Mike gets all the full appreciation that he probably should for being such a huge part of all that.
No, quit it.
He absolutely was, man. Like, yeah, I mean,
and how talented this dude is.
Oh, thank you.
He is, man. He's a talented dude, and yeah, I definitely would have never been in any of those bands if it wasn't for Mike. Like I told this story before. Like I didn't even know how to play guitar when I joined Pennies for All. I think that Mike just liked me, so he was like, "You want to join the band?" That's true. He basically wrote my parts and taught me how to play guitar.
Dude, that's how you used to put bands together. It's like, I really like that guy. Let's teach him bass. Well, it was always bass. Yeah. Let's teach him bass.
If it's Kenny
Pakula and me for a couple nights, and then Jackie. Do this.
It used to be that way. Yeah. Just get people you like that you wanted to be in a band with, and we'll figure all that other shit out later.
Yeah, we were just all learning together. I was learning how to play bass, teaching him how to play guitar. You know what I mean? So it just got all messed up, and
Oh, you play drums? Oh, good. I play guitar. Cool.
Yeah,
we're in a band.
Now we're a band.
That's a band.
Well, here's a quick story for you, really quick, before I go. This is what I got subjected to as like what I think I was 17-year-old, very naive kid. The first time that we jammed with Mike and Quentin, they invited us up to hang out at Quentin's uncle's house. His name was JD. The very first thing we do, we get there, and his uncle JD is literally he's standing out back with one of those pitching machines, like baseball pitching machines, just literally like doing the Happy Gilmore thing, drilling himself in the middle of the back with the pitching machine, talking shit to Quentin, talking about how tough he is and how Quentin will never be that tough. So I was like,
yeah, I can hear it. Shoot it at my back, motherfucker. And I'm at the machine, and Quentin's at the machine. Of course, I'm timid. I'm like, I can't do it. No, and Quentin's like, you told me that motherfucker.
Dude, country living, man.
I'm telling you, boredom's a motherfucker.
Middle 2000s were wild.
Great times.
Yeah.
All right,
different
buddy.
time for sure.
Thanks.
All right, well, thanks, guys.
Thanks, buddy.
I'll see y'all.